Wouldn't you just love to become a confident adventure rider? Visit benmotorcycleadventures.com/adventure motorcycle training to learn more about our 1, 2, and 4-day training courses we'll be offering in 2020.
My God, we're on the wrong vehicle. We have to go on motorcycles.
Oh yes, I would like to have this feeling once again.
Just go travel.
Just go. Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 44 of the Ben Motorcycle Adventures podcast, and today we've got a couple of great guests, Verena and Raul at Los Dos Motos on Instagram. They're going to discuss their long motorcycle adventure that started in Europe. They've ridden through South America, North America, and they're working their way back down to Central America as we speak. But again, at Los Dos Motos on Instagram, you don't want to miss this one. Great story. Listeners, could I ask just one favor? Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. It helps us reach more listeners each and every week. And lastly, do not forget about our social media channels at Ben Motorcycle Adventures on both Facebook, Instagram, and even YouTube.
It was in 2013. We were on a small world around trip, literally on 6 months trip with our backpacks. And there was a day we were on the Salar in the Uyuni in Bolivia. And there we met a couple of guys on motorcycles. And we were on a 4x4 tour crossing the Salar, and they overtook us, and then we met them on the island in the center of the Salar and talked to them, and that was the beginning. So we looked to each other and thought, oh my God, we're on the wrong vehicle. We have to go on motorcycles next time.
And this is how it all began. We thought it must be so cool to do this one day on our own motorcycles. And you have to know, these days only Raul had a license to ride a motorcycle. He did it as a preparation for the 6-month trip because we wanted to go a few parts in America with the Harley Davidson.
Yeah, with the
rental bike. And so, yes, that was the very beginning to dream of this. And after we came back to Germany, we slowly started to work on the plan how we can manage to do this.
So, Verena, you didn't have any prior experience riding a motorcycle before this idea came about?
Yes, absolutely. So, and once we had the dream to do this with motorcycles, it was clear that we want to do it with 2 motorcycles, not only with one. And until this day, I was only the passenger, and I loved being the passenger, but I thought it must be more fun to ride by my own. And so the first step was I had to get my license. And yes, that was the beginning of the big preparation. So in 2015, 2 years later, after we had this 6 months backpacking, I started taking lessons, and I managed to get my riding license.
Yay!
So I'm curious, we'll jump forward a little bit. You're going to start to ride, and you started in Europe, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Okay, so what bikes did you ultimately decide on for this ride?
Yeah, that's easy. Verena, she was working for BMW in Munich. And yeah,
and
so
it was obvious that we will have BMW motorcycles because, we thought we have to benefit from the employer's discount the last time before I have to quit the job. Because we thought maybe when we come back one day,
we can't
afford anymore to buy BMW motorcycles. You never know what's going to happen, if we will have money left or whatever. And this is why we decided, come on, let's do it. Let's buy BMW motorcycles, and this will be the bikes we will do the trip with, and maybe the last bikes for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, and because in advance we read a lot of blogs and forums, and yeah, there are a lot of people running around on BMW motorcycles. So we also thought these might be reliable bikes for
and maybe the best
travel.
Option for us.
Yeah.
Okay. And, thus far, have they been reliable?
Yes, that's a really good question. Yes, they have been. So my F800 GSA is doing quite well until today. But the question is the right moment you're asking it, because we had a breakdown here on Vancouver Island with Raul's bike.
Yeah. 4 weeks ago, we rode around here, going to the supermarket, doing some shopping, groceries, and so on. Yeah, and the drive shaft broke down. So we had to organize a pickup here on the island, which was super lucky. Could have it happened somewhere else
in a remote area? So yeah. we were quite lucky that it happened here on the island, only 2 hours away from Victoria, where we found a BMW service partner with a workshop. So not that bad, but the drive shaft, I'm not so in this technical parts, but I quickly learned I saw on the face of Raul, this is a bit more serious problem.
This is a major problem.
Sure.
But then we have been very lucky, because the team from the workshop was super nice and super helpful. And so we stranded here, and luckily we found a nice house where we could stay the last 3 weeks, and the break was fine. And good news, and the end of the story is we have the bike back and everything is fixed and well done, and we can go on in the next days.
Like you said, you got a little bit of a break because of this mechanical issue. Was it good to get off the road for a little while?
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I was right at the point now, because we rode really on, literally spoken, we rode every day, and going up from Ushuaia to Alaska. And now we're on the way back, and we want to go on to United States and Central America. But the last weeks was really hard for me, especially. I said to Verena, I wish to have some time out now. Yeah, and then the drive shaft broke. So it's magic.
It was luck. It was luck and unluck, because we felt a bit tired and exhausted from traveling. And if you're for such a long time on the road, you have so many impressions every day. You meet so many people. You make so many great experiences. But it's not easy to follow them. You need some time to process these impressions. And I felt I can no longer appreciate what I'm doing. I can no longer appreciate all the nice stuff I see. And this is why we felt we need a break, and it was the right time. And luckily, it happened on Vancouver Island. I think it's not the worst place to be stuck.
Yeah.
I could definitely think of worse places to lay over, for sure. Let's go back. Let's go back to the start of this. Do either of you recall the first day of your adventure, what it was like setting off and kind of knowing or feeling that you're not going to be back home for quite a while?
Oh, yes. I would like to have this feeling once again. So we started directly in front of our house in Munich, our flat. This was why we decided to start in Europe, because we wanted to start on our own motorcycle, the very first meters on the road. And it was a kind of weird feeling to have, we have planned and organized and saved money for several years. And then suddenly the day came when we left home. And the night before we had a party with our friends. And yes, it was a kind of weird feeling to leave. And it doesn't exactly feel like that, because I thought maybe in 3 weeks I'm back home. I don't know. It's like going on a holiday. But as we said goodbye, and it was a very emotional thing to leave the city, knowing we will not come back that early. It was a mixture of being excited, curious, a bit afraid, a bit scared what might come up.
Yeah, you leave so much behind, because you close the door this day, and you made this decision, and there's no way back. You don't know what will happen. And
it's a mixture. It's a mixture. It's a roller coaster of emotions. So I will try to explain it. But it's, in the end, all in, it's a very good feeling. I would like to keep it.
Yeah.
Okay, and to kind of jump on the back of that, how did your friends and family receive the news that you were going to do this?
It was a mixture of negative and positive, I think. So, of course, my parents, especially my mother, said, "Oh my God, my daughter is in the mid-40s, and I thought I'm through with it. I have not to worry about anymore. She's in her life, and everything is fine.
She has a crisis."
Yes, and she thought that must be the midlife crisis. And why the hell did she choose to do something dangerous with a motorcycle, going to South America especially? That was really scary for her. But in the end, of course, she said, you have to do what you have to do. And if you are happy with it, I'm happy with it. And our friends, I think it was, some said, wow, it's really brave and cool that you do it. And some were saying, have you thought about it very carefully? Because
you gave up your good jobs, and what will be when you're back? You have to work again.
But I think most people have been very pro for it. And they said, well, we feel a bit jealous that you are so brave and you just do it. So it was more positive reactions.
Because you know that there's always excuses not to do it.
Yeah, you're right. Totally. I want to ask about Alaska because I'm fascinated by Alaska, and I ask everybody about Alaska. But what was it like riding up? Did you go up to Prudhoe Bay?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
And we are very happy we did it because we had a lot of stories, and we have been told not to go there if the weather is bad, if it's raining. It might be not easy to go there and not nice. And of course, we had much of rain, we had much cold, we only had bad weather the 4 days we went there. But I'm so happy we did it. It
was totally worth it.
Yeah, it was totally worth it. It was the best experience.
It's that feeling when you have the feeling you're getting close to the end of the world or the end of all roads. And this is a very special feeling. It's the same down in Patagonia. You notice that there's just not so much traffic around anymore, not these tourists anymore, and it's really great feeling.
And it's always a question of, it's good to talk to other people and to hear their experience and maybe to learn from them, especially if locals tell you maybe what it's better to do or not to do. But this is one thing I learned during my travels now, not to rely too much or not to decide too much on people's opinion. I have to make my own experience.
Yes.
So when you're up there at the northernmost point, the end of roads, as you say, what was that experience like?
There have been a few goals or a few waypoints that really make me happily crying. And one of these was definitely Prudhoe Bay. Because if you during our preparations in Germany, we have seen so many documentaries on TV. We have read so many travel books from others. We followed some on Instagram just to get some ideas and to be inspired by them. And then you see all these pictures where they are in the world, these magic areas where you want to travel on your own. And then being there, not just dreaming of it, but really physically being there, it feels, I can't describe how it feels. It's just great and made me
it's
really
great
cry.
Achievement, because you always see this one picture everybody takes up there in front of the general store in Prudhoe Bay.
Putting their stickers on the
in front
wall.
of the sticker wall, and then you are there in front on your own. It's awesome.
And now you will find our sticker there too, of course.
Of course.
Oh, good. I've got to get mine up there too, but was it hard to imagine ever getting up there? Was it kind of surreal when you were there putting your sticker on the wall?
Yes. Maybe we had so many bad stories this is why we thought, oh, this will be a really, really big challenge, especially for me, because I'm not a pro in off-road riding, and I thought maybe it's too dangerous, or maybe it's too difficult for me to make it, to achieve it. But once on the road, honestly speaking, afterwards, now I have to say it's not difficult. It's just beautiful, the riding, and if it's raining, of course, it's a bit slippery, but it's not bad. So compared to other roads we have ridden so far, it was quite fine. And I would always recommend everyone, even a beginner on a motorcycle, just do it.
The road was not the challenge. It was the weather when we went up there.
As far as Alaska goes, did you see any grizzly bears, moose, anything like that obviously you probably wouldn't see in Germany?
Yeah, honestly speaking, we were told that we will see a lot of bears up there in Alaska. When we rode to Canada, we met a lot of people, and we told them what our plans are, and they said, "Oh, when you're going up there, you will see bears everywhere." Yeah.
But the funny thing is, we saw
not a single bear up in Alaska. There was no bear.
all the bears we have seen have been down in Canada, in BC.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, or you were asking for a grizzly bear. There's one really scary, not scary story, but it was scary in the moment. So we pitched our tent in a very basic camp in Banff National Park. And we were told that we have to be careful because there's a grizzly female with 2 puppies in the area. So we have to be very conscious about it and to take care of our food and precautions and so on. And we did it, of course. And then one morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, Raul went out the tent to go to the toilet. And once he got back into the tent, he said, "I'm not sure, but I guess I heard something out there, and I saw some movements." And we have only one little window in our tent, and we looked through this window just to figure out what is going on there. And then really, and it's not a joke, we saw a grizzly crossing our way only 10 meters away from our tent. And so we were in the tent like, "Oh my God, what shall we do? Shall we talk loud?"
And we're talking loud, some stupid stuff, just for talking, without any sense.
Yeah, just to tell the bear, "Hello, we are here." And yes, because we were told it's good to be loud when you see a bear, that the bear knows you are there. But nothing happened, of course. He just went his way. But this was really, I think, one of the biggest adventures we had so far on our journey with wildlife.
Yeah.
Because we are not used to it. We don't have that. We don't have bears. We don't have cougars. We only have, I don't know, we have deers and a fox, but that's all. We don't have bison. So that was really, really great to see this in the nature around these areas here.
You mentioned being in Banff. What was that like?
Oh, yeah, it's really beautiful. So it's really worth to go there, the Rockies. So I dreamt of the Rockies for many, many years.
It's only part of the Rockies, but...
Yeah, I have only seen it on TV, but the landscape, the countryside is gorgeous. The Rockies, the snowy Rockies, and you have these beautiful lakes with this beautiful green color. You have
Lake Louise.
You have the trees, and then you have the roads going through this countryside with no end at the horizon. It's really beautiful.
The best thing is riding up the Icefields Parkway from Banff to Jasper.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Really top of the world.
That's awesome, yeah.
Okay. Now, to get into Canada, did you ride through the States, or did you I'm not sure exactly how this ride went, what path you followed.
Yeah, no, we went, we shipped the bikes to South America, then we went all the way down to Ushuaia, and then we went back through Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia up to Bogota. And there we decided to flew the bikes and ourselves from Bogota to Vancouver, just to be in the right season to have the summertime in Canada, because as you know, you are limited in seasons for some parts of the world.
For Alaska
especially, yes. And so we flew over Central America and the United States, but now we are going down again. So the next step for us is now to go to the United States and then all the way down to Mexico and I don't know how far we go into Central America. We will see.
And that is also a thing with the long-term travel. You can't plan on a daily basis, because first the initial plan was riding all the way up to Central America, through the States, up to Canada and Alaska. And then we spent so much time down in South America that, we ran out of time. So we had to make this decision to get the bikes up to Canada by the air cargo.
On a quicker way, yeah.
Okay. Obviously, you've been in Alaska a little bit, but are you anxious to get down into the States?
Yes, of course. So it was always our plan to visit the United States, and we know you have many beautiful national parks and many beautiful areas that are really worth to explore. So 6 years ago, we already have been to the United States, but only in parts of California and Arizona. And now we are looking very forward to go to Utah and to other places too. So unfortunately, now we have to skip the Yellowstone National Park because due to the mechanical problems we had, we are too late for this area. And but we are looking forward to all the rest of the United States. There's more to come, much more to come.
Sure. Utah will have plenty to offer, and you can maybe take in the Grand Canyon too while you're at it.
Oh yes, that would be great. If it's possible to ride in the Grand Canyon, I don't know.
That'll be absolutely a highlight to go to the Grand Canyon. Yeah.
Maybe if you have some special recommendations, we would be happy to receive them. Maybe
this is an interview, not?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say I don't know how you plan to travel down. If you're going to come into Northern California or not, but I wouldn't miss the Redwoods National Park either if you haven't been there.
Oh,
cool. Yeah. Because it's always, this is, I think, the most or the most valuable, important part, but talking to locals, because then you get the best recommendations, and maybe you find then some hidden places you would not have seen if you just rely on, your research online or any touristic books or whatever. So it's always great to get tips and recommendations.
Don't stick to the travel guides.
Yes.
Yeah, there's just no substitute for local knowledge. Those travel type guys, they're kind of a generalization. So anyway, I was curious. Do you think this trip has brought the two of you closer together? Or driven you apart, maybe.
Separately. So maybe you have to know we are a couple since 25 years now, so we know each other very well. But I have not expected before. But there's still a few things you can explore with your partner you didn't know before.
Yeah.
What comes up when you travel like we do it now. So, but yes, I think it brought us closer together because we have to rely on each other. So in some situations, or when you go through remote areas, if it's coming to a really bad situation or whatever, and luckily we did not experience so far. You have to rely on each other, and you can only go through it if you have your partner. And I'm very happy because I have two left hands in any technical things and in navigating. So it's great to have Raul. So I just have to follow him. Makes it easier for me. And on the other hand, I hope he benefits from some abilities I have. I don't know, but I'm not really a help in technical stuff or in the daily planning. So it's his task to do this.
You're getting a real good cook.
Oh, thank you.
That's important. This
is the most important part. You need good food when you're traveling, when you're on the road, to stay healthy.
Yeah, I wonder about that a little bit culturally as you go from country to country or town to town or whatever. What's that like? It's just got to be radically different everywhere. How do you adapt like that?
Yeah, this is a good question, and it somehow really is exhausting if you have to go on from day to day, because you always have the same questions: where to go, where can we sleep? Will we find a good place to camp?
Where will
Or do
we
we
end
need
up?
do we need to find another accommodation because maybe it's too cold or we don't feel safe with the camping? I don't know. Where can we buy food? Where do we get money? Do we get fuel everywhere? So it depends, of course, on the country you're traveling. It's much easier, for example, in Canada or the US compared to some parts of South America. And maybe it's not a big deal, but if you have to give yourself an answer to these questions every day again because you come to another place you don't know, it might be really exhausting. And of course, as you said, you have to adapt to a few things. Yes, the question, you don't have the food you usually eat or from home. And yes, the infrastructure, sanitary, stuff like this. So you have to get along with it. And I think over the time it gets easier, I can say, for me. So I'm really surprised how easy I can go along with things that are not the way I'm normally used to it from home.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's for you, but I was surprised how easy it is.
Yeah, for me, food was somehow challenging, especially in the northern states of South America, because you have always the choice between trout or chicken, yeah, and both comes with rice, and so yeah, I miss a bit of variety there.
But I think it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, but you're getting used to it.
Yeah, and what's really great, I think the people, the locals always make it very easy for you because they are so welcoming and so guest friendly from what we experienced that it's not a big deal to familiarize yourself with the area. So that was really a great experience to see. It's all about the people you meet.
Sure, and yeah, you're not the first people that have told me that. It's definitely the people along the way, the people you meet. That's what you remember most.
Yes, definitely, and they make it easy if they are welcoming and give you the feeling they will be there for you if you need any help, or they want to make it nice for you when you're there.
Okay. What's been the most memorable day each of you have had thus far? What's been the most amazing day that each of you can recall?
Oh, there have been quite a few. It's not really easy to pick one. If I had to
choose one, I'd say it was being back on the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, standing there with our motorcycles. That was really amazing because this was, as I told you, the initial point where our dream started 6 years ago, and being back there was really, yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
Quite emotional.
But on the other hand side, it was a bit of disappointing being there because there was water on the Salar, and we didn't want to ride on with our motorcycles, so not to damage the electric and something. Yeah.
So we always dreamt of course, like
riding,
I guess every motorcyclist, to ride on the Salar de Uyuni with our motorcycles, but it was not possible because there was still too much water on it. But not supposed for this time, but unfortunately it was. So it was a mixture of emotions in this moment.
Yeah.
On the one hand, to be there again, but on the other hand, not to achieve what we really dreamt of. But in the end, I made my peace with just being there and watching the sunset and knowing I'm here again.
We stood there for 2 or 3 hours, just from sunset into the dark and into night, and we really enjoyed it to the fullest.
Yeah. And for me personally, it was definitely Ushuaia and Prudhoe Bay, as I told before, because I always had these pictures in my mind from all other travelers we followed so far. And I said, one day I will be there with my own motorcycle. I will have this picture too. And I will be at the very far end of the world where you can ride. And this is for the Americas, it's Ushuaia and Prudhoe Bay. And that was really, really great to, having achieved that.
Yeah, that's amazing. What would you say has been your favorite part about riding your motorcycles like you've been doing for the past 15 months?
So honestly speaking, sometimes we have been really jealous when we saw other travelers with their cozy camper vans. Um, every time when the weather is bad, if it's rainy, it's cold, and you have been sitting for 8 hours on the bike, freezing. But in the end, if I have to choose again, I would do it again with a motorcycle because I think the most significant difference is you are so much closer to everything. So on the one hand, you are exposed to the weather, of course, but on the other hand, you are much closer to the people because I think all the people we met, and even we stop on a fuel station, when we go through a supermarket or somewhere else, we always meet people asking us, "Are you the guys with the motorcycles?" And
we had a lot of small interviews on our travel.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah, and it always feels like that the people honor in some way that you do this trip on a motorcycle. It's because maybe it's not that comfy, it's more challenging, definitely, I would say. I would agree to this. But yes, it brings you closer to the people and they admire it. And I think this is great. And I never felt more free than riding on my motorbike on a road. I can't see the end at the horizon.
Of course, it's more dynamic going with a motorcycle than with an RV.
Yeah, it's more fun and you feel so free. And if you have a good music in your helmet, wow. I think every motorcyclist knows what I'm talking about. It's not easy to describe the feeling in this moment.
The feeling of motorcycle riding.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's what you're describing, riding the motorcycle. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I have just a few more questions for you guys. Here's one for both of you. How has this ride changed you?
That's not that easy. I don't know if there is one significant change I feel right now, but for me, I can say it made me somehow being more thankful because I know it's not self-evident to have the opportunity to fulfill this dream. And maybe in some way it made me appreciate more my privileged life, which I have in Germany, because we have seen so many parts down there in South America especially, where people have to struggle much more to get along with their daily business and their daily life. And so it makes me appreciate my life I have at home. And in some way, it made me more open to other people and to other travelers, I would say. So I know I can ask for help if I really need it, even though we made the experience you don't have to ask for help because you help is offered at every corner in South America, even if you don't ask for it. But what I mean, it makes me more open to other travelers. I would like to give something back when I'm back home. So maybe all the listeners out there, whenever you travel through Germany, you can count on us. I will give something back from the helpfulness and the hospitality we experience.
And you're not complaining so much about things. Yeah, you sometimes back in Germany you complain about things that are not worth complaining when you see how other people manage their lives and what they have or don't have. Yeah.
And
one more thing is that you're getting relaxed on if you're having problems or experience some difficulties or some issues. There's always a fix, there's always a solution, there's always someone around who offers help to you, and this is nice knowing. Yeah.
Yes, and I think we learned or we know now that most people are good. You don't have to be afraid of people or something else. So I think this is most important learning.
Okay. My last question here, excuse me, is there something that you wish you'd known, something that you know now? Is there something that you know now that you wish you'd known when you started this adventure?
Yes, for me, it's definitely the fact that I'm really surprised with how less I can get along. And if I had known before, I would only have half of my luggage. So that would be very helpful. I would be much lighter, definitely. And second thing, I guess, if I had known before how easy it is to travel through South America, I would not have so many sleepless nights in advance.
Yeah, it's the same for me. And what I know for my own is that I'm not very flexible, I guess, sometimes. I thought before I'm really open to everything and I'm really flexible and I'm a real adventure guy and I can sleep everywhere. And I learned it's hard sometimes when you arrive to a place and you make yourself comfortable on a campground, you get used to the infrastructure around and to the people around, and but you have to leave the next day. So and you go and you don't know where you end up the next night. So that's sometimes difficult for me. I'd like to stay longer in one place.
Sure.
All the other things, we have been really lucky because Raul was very, doing very much research in advance in terms of all these formal things and organizational parts. So we have been lucky. We had no surprises on the run, so to say. So that was quite fine. So it's more a kind of personal things we would like to have known before, maybe.
Yeah, and one last thing is that we'd say to people, if you can afford and you're there's nothing against it, like any how do you say, physical issues or something, just go travel.
Just go for it, because yes, there's one thing. I would have done it before in a younger age, I guess. I would not wait again so long to do such a trip, because I guess when I was 20 or 25 or so, some things would have been much easier. Because the older you get, the more you worry about things you never would have thought about when you have been younger.
Yeah.
So I would recommend not to wait too long to do this. It's much easier.
All right. I love that advice. And with that, I think I'll wrap it up, guys. Raul, Verena, I want to thank you for coming on. Great interview. Any parting shots for me or anything else you want to say?
Yes, maybe just one thing: go out and ride. Make the ride of your life. This is what I can suggest. Be self-confident, because this was something I was not that much before, because I always worried if my ability in motorcycle riding is good enough for such a trip. And I learned you have to be self-confident. You just have to try, and each day you get better. And there are no challenges that are impossible to make. So I just can tell every beginner on a motorcycle, just do it and have fun.
And it's not about speed, it's about the people you meet on the way. So go slow and
take your time.
Go with open eyes and go search contact to locals.
Less is somehow more. So you don't rush through the countries. Take your time to go deeper into people and culture.
Okay, great advice. But overall, just go, right? Just go.
Yeah.
Just go.
Go.
That's it.
Go.
Just go. Love it. Raul, Verena, thank you for sharing your story on the podcast. Listeners, as always, thanks for tuning in. BendMotorcycleAdventures.com. Don't forget about our website. Not only do we produce this podcast, we also offer guided motorcycle adventures on backcountry discovery routes. And of course, we offer adventure bike training. And I'm looking for people out there who want to become confident adventure riders. Visit our site, BendMotorcycleAdventures.com/adventure motorcycle training. Time to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody one more time for tuning in. Of course, we'll be back next week. Really looking forward to it. Until then, take care, everybody.